What's up, everybody? Josh Armijo here. I hope everybody's doing good and well and stuff. I got an album review to do for you, and I'm going to be talking to you about the new album from the band Haemophagus, entitled Atrocious. This is released on Razorback Recordings. Now, if you're not too familiar with this band, they are based out of Palermo, Italy, and the best way to describe the sound of this band would be a very old-school, horror film-inspired style of death metal mixed with some elements of grindcore. Think, if you will, to stuff like maybe Repulsion or Impetigo. This is a band that definitely has those kind of thoughts and ideas going on. They've been around for a good little while, had a bit of an early start, then there was somewhat of a hiatus involved, and then soon after that hiatus, they decided to return to form, and have been continuously making music ever since then. They've put out a good deal of split releases. Bands that come to mind would be split releases with Agathocles, Bonesaw, and a 2012 split that they did with Repute. Some pretty good stuff. But let's get to this band's full-length material. I want to say 2009, they came out with an album called Slaves to the Necromancer. I mean, that album had some really key tracks to be heard on there. This band had a really good attention to detail and definitely showcased the kind of styles that they have within their arsenal. They can have some really slow, mid-pace sort of death doomy sort of stuff going on, but then you get to the more faster, grinding elements of their sound, and I think it works out really good. I mean, you can almost hear a bit of a Terrorizer, Symphonies of Sickness era Carcass sort of idea with their vibe and their sound. That was a pretty awesome release. Now we move forward to 2014 and their second album entitled Atrocious. It's 13 tracks and it clocks in at around 39 minutes in length, and definitely things seem to be a little bit more improved this time around as opposed to the first release. One thing that definitely makes it work very well is the production style. It doesn't feel too old school to the point where it feels a little bit muddy, but yet I think the production works very well for this kind of band style and approach. Old school without trying to, try to overdo it. I think the production brings out the best in this band's instrumentation. And since we're on the topic of instrumentation, let's get on to the guitar work of this album. I think the guitar work is very entertaining. Once you get to the little bit of the groovy pace that is the intro of this album, you get to a track like Partying at the Grave. You just get some really sick riff work going on that particular track. And then on to songs like Exaltation for a Dying Victim and Siege of Murderous Beasts. You really get some sweet riff work going on here. There's an almost bit of a old Slayer sort of approach when it comes to the guitar stylings, and almost thrashy sort of melody going on with the guitar work, and I think it's really awesome. The riffs sound really good, very clean, very well played. Solo work sounds very good too, doesn't sound overly distracting. I think it definitely feels like a really good death grind sort of guitar performance. It's a very entertaining listen. Bass-wise, I really am in love with this bass guitar tone. It definitely stands out very well here. It is very dingy, very dirty, very clear and audible in this album's mix, and I think this bass performance is incredible. It does feel like you're listening to an old school death grind sort of release. I mean, once again, bringing up stuff like Horrified by Repulsion or Ultima Mondo Cannibal by Impetigo. You just get some really clean bass licks going on, and I really love the way that this bassist handles himself here. I think it's a really entertaining bass tone. Moving on to the drums. The drums are really sensational here. Yeah, from one instance, you can get some very fast-paced, relentless sort of drumming. You get some really good blast beats, nice double bass, the really creative drum fills going on. I really love the way that this drummer handles himself when it comes to the patterns and the overall drum structurings. Moving on to the more mid-paced, deathy, more death metal-esque sort of moments of this album. I mean, I want to say songs like the closing track from the Sunken Citadel. That's the longest track on here, and it definitely showcases the death metal side to this band's arsenal. and I think it's really, really unique and interesting. I will be honest enough to say that I think that the faster-paced songs of this album held my attention way more than the slower mid-paced songs of this album, but that's no discredit to the drummer's style and approach. I think he puts on a tremendous performance here and definitely showcases a lot of stamina and creativity to be heard here. And we get on to the vocals. This vocalist is a very entertaining vocalist. For his vocal styling, it's very, very understandable, very rough and rugged, very understandable. He has a very, very good growl to him. Definitely very entertaining to hear him do his growls and his vocal stylings, especially when it comes to this album's, lyrical content. I mean, the lyrics don't really try to reinvent any sort of wheels or break any new ground, but yet for the entertainment aspect of this album, I think it's really, really awesome. I mean, songs like Surgeon of Immortality, Swollen with Parasites, and even a track like Choked on a Cadaver's Dick. That's some very, very entertaining stuff. It definitely brings out the horror movie aspect of this band's style, and I think it's very, very entertaining. So overall, if you're a fan of death metal or grindcore, if you're into Impetigo or Repulsion, Haemophagus is definitely the band for you to be checking out. Definitely an improvement over their debut, and definitely hopeful to hear more stuff from this band in the future. So, yeah, check it out if you're into death metal, grindcore, or horror movies. If I had to pick any favorite tracks, I would definitely have to say Partying at the Grave, Exaltation for a Dying Victim, Ice Cold Prey, Siege of Murderous Beasts, and the closing track from the Sunken Citadel. So I'm going to leave you a link in the description box to the Razorback Recordings Bandcamp page where you can stream this album in its entirety, hear it for yourself, and be your own judge as to whether you think it's worthy of being purchased or not. You can buy it physically through CD, or you can buy a digital copy, whatever copy floats your goat. So, again, the album is Atrocious by Haemophagus. This is released on Razorback Recordings. Definitely check this out. I'm going to give this a solid 8 out of 10. Very, very, very good release. Definitely for the old school horror movie punks out there. So, support Haemophagus. I'm going to hoo this review. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for checking out my channel. And until the next time, Army Hell out.